Here's another stapler. Let me yell right in your ear, Paige. You're welcome. It's all good, bro. It's cool, let's say. It's cool.
With only one staple,
With only one staple. Like that. Everybody look. Like that. Like that. Run around. Get the stapler. Let's do this. Move it along. Clear off your desk otherwise. You'll need a writing utensil. Rock and roll the Ayatollah. Let's do it. Oh, can I see? Can I see the handout? Big topic for me.
what is it? What's it say?
Was this a school thing?
No.
Oh. I don't mean to pry into your business. Hey man, whatever you got to say. It's cool. Your secret's safe with me there. Because my secret's safe with you.
Not sure if it worked. Last time it didn't work. Took a few tries with me.
Curious one. Yeah.
Now, thank you very much for following those staple directions. It kind of feels like a waste of time because we're going to unstaple it today. But the alternative is when people walk around, they end up on the floor, and then it gets really confusing and things get lost, and it's a nightmare and we'll grade the wrong one. So listen very carefully. Everybody must, number 1, clear your desk. Number 2, take a writing utensil. Number 3, remember that you're going to grade people on their effort. So if somebody really slacked off and didn't try very hard, you can tell because you're a high school kid and you've done stuff without trying before.
I tried hard.
Harrison, you fool no one. And then, just joke. And then, remember that not everybody is equally artistic or equally funny, but you can just tell when someone's made an effort, and really that's all we can ask of each other is to make our best effort. So you will walk around and grade at least 4 posters, but obviously we're going to need some of you to grade 5, because Jesse is absent, Christopher and Colin had to leave the room. So walk around, grade people you don't know, please, or that you know less well. On your marks, get set, go. When you grade it, you don't have to write a name, it's fine.
That's part of the room I'm not familiar with.
I know everyone.
Mark just knows as many people, huh? Cool.
Too much down.
What do I write?
So just write stuff.
You just put the tens.
Or do you
As you can tell by reading the paper,
Put tens.
there's 40 points possible per category.
Oh.
So it's out of 40 for each, for a total of 200 possible. And when you get to the total, please round it to the tens place. So like 177 would round up to 180. The 173 would round down to 170. Sorry, is this music bugging? Is it bugging? Bob Dylan's bug? Look around. As you finish 4, please make sure that all the posters have been done. A few of you will have to do 5. So whoever's already graded, you might want to find another person's to grade. And while you're being otherwise useless, you might want to return to your desk when you've graded 4 or 5 and take out a piece of note paper. Okay, are we there yet? Have all posters been graded 4 times? Somebody check in on Jessica's and Christopher's and...
Mine hasn't.
So somebody, let's go. Keep looking for stuff to grade. Keep looking for stuff to grade. Let's go. Yeah, that was me. That's right. Yeah, totally. Thanks, I figured out. Paige, your turn. Your turn. You know what this is about? Is it bad? Paige, are you super busted?
Maybe it's like something about sports. It's probably something about sports.
Like, what's up with that?
I think it's an illegal drug right now.
Oh man. Really?
All right, children, now me, please. Is it true that everyone's has been graded 4 times? Has anyone's not been graded 4 times? Okay, we're almost done. Listen carefully. Listen carefully. On your wanted poster judging sheet, I need you to add something at the very bottom. You may want your cell phone, but you can just do this on paper. Please look up. Average of the 4 scores in a circle on the bottom right. So add all 4 of them, then divide the total by 4. So that's pretty easy to average. If you got 4 zeros, it averages to a 0.
Somebody put a score with a 5 in it, didn't you want it to run to the
Yeah.
to 10?
Yeah, but you can figure it out.
So the average.
I believe in you.
Where do we put it?
Pow! Like that, Mary. Pow! And once you have averaged all 4, and someone has averaged the 4 for Paige, then please pass up 2 separate unstapled piles to the front. two separate unstapled piles to the front.
So I got 270.
Somebody want to do this for what's your face?
Hold on. 200.
Oh my God, that's not an iPhone. Oh, yes, it is that. I thought for a minute there was something wrong here. But everything is right in the world.
Yeah, it's just like a new iOS. You were like super excited that I wasn't using the Norfolk.
Windows Phone? There's hope for Windows?
Hey, no, I have a PC at home. It's like Windows.
You rock that shit?
I don't rock it. I used to rock it for $1,000. I have like more power than any Mac. It's like super good economic and power and.
It makes sense in every way, except it's not sexy.
It's not a Mac. It's not sexy.
No problem. Get it. Get it.
Buy before. Okay, 190. Which I'll just do 190.
Yeah, I have to change this person's score because they wrote 195, but it adds up to 170.
What would be a good score?
That's when you get
Correct.
What would be a good score?
150 is cheap. 160 is 80.
And then pass up both of the piles to the front and take out a piece of paper for note taking. Take out a piece of paper for note taking.
Should I do this for Paige?
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
No.
What? Oh, thank you.
What do you want? What? What?
There's a somebody in the car sheet got 140, 170, 170, 100 or something. They put all the information needed. That's pretty desperate, you know? Like,
Maybe they got the numbers wrong. Maybe they got the
overall, instead of I think it was.
That doesn't make any sense.
Give your focus. I think they're bringing you down, man.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that one is Get that one in
Ruben.
Get that one at 200.
This is awesome, dude.
Ruben, what was your average score? So I would give it 200. I get it.
All right. What are the blue pens?
Oh, so close to saving it. All right, children. So you gave me some really good posters, and I really like most of them, and I think overall I'm very impressed by your work. I got to give you a couple of bits of direction from here. The College Board, as you know, will ask you a lot of questions which are more or less trivia. Like questions about the red-billed stork, or questions about the California condor, or questions about this species and that species. And a lot of times my students feel a little put upon, like how the hell was I supposed to know about that one random species? And imagine how nervous that makes me. I got to find some way to teach you every endangered species, plus every invasive species, plus every major historical event in the environment. And that just gets really intimidating and challenging and gnarly. This assignment, I think, is kind of a good way because we leave them up on the walls. Yours will be added to these. I don't know. I mean, until my student aides start falling off the ladder, I'll keep going. Last year we did have a student aide fall off the ladder, but
Can't get one?
just some skinny girl. We got another one. No big deal. Yeah, there's no shortage of those. So, so I'm going to leave them up here, and you should probably check them out. I strongly recommend. You get so many times that you get to class like 3 minutes early, or Jose's absent, or you're walking around on a lab day, and you might want to just skim a few. If you pick up 5 new species a day, you would know like a ton of stuff. I can't tell you to like cram this and memorize it, but like right before a test, you got bigger fish to fry. When you're just sitting here and Jose's answering the phone, you might as well just look on over. Just being familiar with a name would help, because you could realize, oh wait, that's an invasive, I know that name. Or just knowing what they look like might help. Because if they describe an ecological niche and they ask you for a species, you can be like, oh, well, that sounds like a mongoose, sort of. I don't want you to stress about the trivia, but at the same time, I really want you to immerse yourself in factoids about environmental science. So check out the posters sometime, but you should also know that the College Board asks general questions, and I can help you with that. I'd like you to take notes on common themes in invasive species. Because a lot of the questions on the College Board would be, what sorts of species are likely to go endangered? Or name 3 characteristics shared by most invasives. And that general sort of stuff you can write down, you can study it, and you should cram it. So I've got some common themes. I've got some methods of invasion. And then I've got a few species that are especially famous. So, here we go. Some common themes. Most of your invasive species are probably, number 1, generalists. Not highly specialized, really flexible, can go a lot of different places. How many of you had a generalist species? If you look around, it's basically one of the main themes in invasives. If you're super specialized, it's not likely you'll find that teeny little niche someplace else. Number 2, most of our invasives have what's called a very high biotic potential. Those of you who don't write this down, I have to say that you're kind of on your own. Does everybody know what high biotic potential means? Can have a lot of babies, like extreme reproductive success. So they either make 1 trillion seeds, or they grow super fast, or they breed all year, not just seasonally. Invasives tend to be super breeders, high biotic potential. Number 3, let's do a business analogy very quickly. If I move to Santa Barbara, and I want to be a 1973 Ferrari mechanic, but there's already a 1973 Ferrari mechanic in town, am I likely to start a business from scratch if there's already an established local that's doing that?
Nope.
No.
Because think about it, everything that I need for the Ferrari mechanic, he's already locked down. He's got all the customers, he's got all the suppliers, he knows where the best streets are to test drive the Ferrari, whatever. But of course, if the Ferrari mechanic just died, it's a great time for me to move in, right? Ecologically, the same is true. Invasive species capitalize on empty niches. Like when you have a disturbed environment. Anybody here ever surf in Ventura or drive down the 101? I want you guys to keep your eyes open. When you drive past Emma Wood, that 9-mile stretch, where there's a couple of big dips when you're coming back northbound, right before you go around the point, and you see the Ventura coast in front of you with C Street and the river and stuff. Look on the left. Look on the uphill side. because there's this really amazing pattern much of the year. You'll notice it more in the spring and in the summer. So right now, I'm not sure if it's obvious. But there's all these hillsides, right? They're like on the mountainside, hillside, hillside, hillside. And then they're all bulldozed down the ridges so that the dirt didn't spill onto the road. And where it's bulldozed, it's all invasive mustard. The hillsides are all native. So when you're driving, it's kind of crazy. You'll look one way and it like all looks native. But then when you look at it from an angle, you just see the edges that have been bulldozed, and those are all yellow flowers, invasive mustard plant. Anybody do the mustard plant here? You did mustard? Yeah.
Oh, no.
You didn't? Okay, fine. Make up your mind. Get your story straight, lady. When you're in an intact environment, the natives kind of have used up all of the niche. There isn't an easy place for an invasive to get started. But when you have a disturbance, like bulldozing, like an abandoned farm, like a fire, like a mudslide, that's an empty niche. That's available real estate. That's a business opportunity for an invasive plant or an invasive animal. So remember, a common theme is that these things move into disturbed habitats because that way they can fill niches that are vacant, that are empty. Another common theme in invasive species is some sort of a competitive advantage. Something that your invasive species has that the natives don't. A competitive advantage, like toxicity, earlier breeding, high aggression, or, here's a crazy one, nest parasitism. In evolutionary terms, it's a relatively new strategy. There's just a few species that parasitize other bird nests. They find surrogate parents. The cowbird doesn't have to build a nest and doesn't have to raise the chicks. They just lay a big old egg and then they leave. They leave the egg in another species' nest. They go, "Oh, hello, sparrow. There's my egg. See you later." And the cowbird will hatch and then either kill, eat, or push over the edge all the sparrow hatchlings.
Wow.
You see a little sparrow like this feeding a cowbird chick that's much bigger. They'll climb up on top of the chick to feed it. And sparrows don't know that this is a new evolutionary strategy. They're not aware of the risk of a nest parasite. So the sparrow has never evolved being picky. The sparrow just thinks like, wow, I've got the biggest chick in the world. This one's going to crush the competition. And the stupid sparrow doesn't realize he's feeding another species baby. This is like a new idea in evolution. There's not a lot of birds that do this, but you can see it's a competitive advantage. The cowbird has no limit on its habitat. As long as there's other birds, somebody will raise the chicks for them. So there are a lot of these little competitive advantages. You saw, for example, that the cane toad is a toxic frog in an environment where the other frogs aren't toxic. That's a huge competitive advantage. They can kill their predators. The other frogs can't. Yeah?
A lot of invasive species, like the one I researched, completely destroy the thing that they benefit from. And so I was wondering if does that over time cause them to go extinct because they're just ruining their only source of
It makes sense, but there's this really interesting study in evolution about. Did everybody hear Alessio's question?
Yeah.
If you have an invasive that degrades its resource, does that mean it's going to eventually kill itself? And which was your invasive?
It was the red weevil, or it was a beetle that eats palm trees.
Right. Most of these things eventually, like predator and prey, sort of self-regulate populations with lag time. So the weevil populations will climb until they drive the palm to near extinction. And then the weevils will starve, which lets the palms come back. And so it's like the deer and the wolf thing.
Right.
They tend to average out at a pretty heavy parasite load. most of our diseases, even if they're super deadly, as long as they leave you alive long enough to infect someone else, they're still sustained. But this is a really interesting question in the evolution of diseases, and there's a new field called evolutionary medicine that studies things like this, and it's really interesting. Somebody wrote a great book called The Evolution of Disease, and it talks a lot about that question. How strong a disease has to be, because if it's too strong, it undermines its own vector. And I have that book somewhere, but I don't know where. It's excellent. I recommend it. Was somebody else asking something? Mark, was your hand up? I'm not aware of that being done, and that's always the sketchy thing, because you notice that the cane toad was itself a biological control that went crazy, so do we want to try another one?
I suppose they would also hunt down with little fox or rat.
On the nose, buddy. On the nose. It's very difficult to find an exclusive biological control. Coincidentally, probably one of the world's leading researchers on biological controls is at UCSB. His name is Armand Curis. And a lot of local biology types know him because he's been here forever, and he was the chair of the College of Creative Studies. So he has like really huge political capital. He's a big deal. He has the thickest glasses I've ever seen. And one of the biggest man beards, he's got like a broom. That dude is like I think he's the global expert on biological controls. And apparently genetic modification of diseases is like a really promising biological control, because the hope is that you'll be able to make a disease that only infects your target species. So using man-made diseases as a biological control, that's like the scariest thing that anyone's ever suggested, but also like the next level of accuracy, because that is targeted. It can be, hopefully. Okay. Finally, one last common theme in invasive species is a lot of these are vectors. Because they carry a disease. You guys know what a disease vector is? Like a mosquito is a vector for malaria. Yeah. It's the species that spreads another disease. A lot of invasives do really well by spreading a disease that clears the competition out. Sort of like smallpox blankets. By spreading the disease, we get rid of our competition. There are a lot of invasives who succeed by spreading disease, who are disease vectors. Next, I wanted to talk about how they spread, because almost all of your species were spread in just 4 or 5 ways. Almost all of them come down to 4 or 5 bad behaviors. These are the things that we got to be really careful with. Strategically, about 4 or 5 decisions have caused about 99% of the invasive species. So number 1 is exotic pets and landscaping. If you think about stuff in a zoo, stuff in an aquarium, stuff in your front yard that you thought would be a pretty plant and then it got away in the neighborhood, that accounts for a lot of invasives. How many of you have either an exotic pet or an exotic landscaping thing or an animal escaped from a zoo? I'm surprised that there aren't more. In first period, where they mostly did plants, that was the majority of it. Another really common thing is things that we use for production, like wood production and food production. Anybody have one of those?
Even like it's spread because of that?
Like we plant it because we want to use it to produce lumber, and then it takes over, like the eucalyptus. Or we spread it because we want it to produce food, and then it spreads like crazy, like oat.
My brother's house has like a ton of eucalyptus trees on it, and they're like he's trying to build a house right now, and he has to get rid of all the invasive species before he can start to build, and so he had to hire someone and take all the invasive species out.
Yeah, it's actually really challenging. Eucalyptus kills the soil too, so for years it's going to be really hard to grow anything else there.
It's also a fire hazard because of how much oil it is.
That's why they make them get rid of it.
Yeah.
You can take baby eucalyptus and squeeze them, and the oil that comes out is so flammable you can use it as a kerosene for lamps.
Dang.
So you can imagine, like, people who live on Eucalyptus Hill, it's just kindling drenched in kerosene. Sounds like a good place to live, right? In a fire renewal community, by the way.
On a low range
snap. Okay. Then there are a lot of accidental invasive species, usually from trade, like the Norway rat that came on ships and stuff. How many of you have an accidental invasive associated with trade? Yeah. You know, we live in a world where all of our products come from all over the world. This coffee mug, this was probably mined like in Chile or in Australia. This rubber is probably made from petroleum in the Middle East. And the rubber was probably made in either southern United States or Mexico. The ingredients were probably assembled, I'm going to guess China, but... yeah, China. Then, you know, the boxing is probably made from paper and from Canada. And so we've got all this, like, international trade. It's one big marketplace. And then, you know, random things will tag along. Global trade is actually a leading cause of invasive species. There's also some tag-along species. So whenever you plant citrus, you're going to spread the glassy-winged sharpshooter, which follows citrus.
What is that?
It's one of the worst invasives because when it finishes eating something, it leaves all the leaves like white.
So it kills the tree.
Yeah, it's like
What is it?
It's the worst invasive insect we have.
Yeah, it's this little insect that basically wipes out agricultural production. It kills plants by drinking their sap, I think. Is that right?
Yeah,
Did you say a little bug?
Oh, and they're really gross looking.
Are they?
Yeah,
I've actually never seen them, but they're small. They're flying insects. And they tag along with agriculture. So when Alessio moves to San Luis Obispo, he'll take his favorite citrus tree.
Of course.
Whoa, God. And so he gets to San Luis Obispo. He plants his Meyer lemon or whatever.
Okay.
And then the neighborhood gets glassy-winged sharpshooters. And agriculture, you know, we move a lot of biotic material in agriculture. Keep in mind, whenever somebody wants to plant a new type of grapes, they're shooting grape plants all over the place. I know, it's amazing. Okay.
So it must be like it's coming out.
There are invasive species controls, biological controls. Anybody have a biological control as theirs? Something that was used to control another species? Like the mongoose is a classic. And we have a new problem. This is in your generation, but it wasn't a problem in my generation. Climate change is shifting niches. And a lot of times the invasives can move in because the climate has changed before a native can fill that niche. If this is another student from the principal, I'm going to hang up. This is Jose. Oh my God. Me too. No. I love you, Patty. No, I swear I wouldn't. That's for your talking. Yeah. Mark Gross.
Yeah.
Principal. Okay.
What is this?
I don't know. Is it bad? Did you get tooled? Okay. So, Mark, apparently it's not bad. At least it wasn't bad for Paige. Maybe it's bad for you. Okay. So now I've got a couple of famous species for you. Are you aware that there's one invasive species that people are really happy about? Did anybody do this one? Or anybody want to guess it? An invasive species that, like, is probably going to save us a ton of money because it was a good call. They're in the United States. It's a large mammal. Yes.
Yeah. What? Belong here.
Wild horses.
I hate horses. Yeah, Indians.
You hate everything.
I know.
I hate horses.
The natural world will follow you and gang up on you one day. And the spiders and horses will trample and bite
Big
you.
ass.
Okay.
Horses are so
Me. You guys know that in the savannah we have like zebras and water buffalo and elephant and giraffe. Funny thing is that North America used to have megafauna too. But earlier humans, like 12, 15,000 years ago, on the tail end of the last ice age, took the last few of them, and apparently, right, it's called the Pleistocene die-off, it appears that humans were primarily responsible for extinctions a long time ago, back in like the stone arrowhead days. So anyway, we haven't had any big herbivores in the United States except for the bison, and recently we got rid of the bison. And you guys know how predators maintain diversity by eating the most common ones so the less common ones can stay in the game? Yes. Well, without bison, that hasn't happened. And the American prairie has become more and more uniform, less and less diverse. And the invasive horse is replacing a missing predatory effect. So wild horses, Mustangs, are filling a niche that was functionally important. They're replacing an herbivorous predator effect.
Isn't that a good thing?
So it is, and people are kind of saying, like, now that wild horses are spreading across North America, our prairie's getting healthier. It's more diverse. So in a really cold year, you've still got that weird cold grass left in the field. And so actually it appears that wild horses are helping the prairie, and a lot of people say the government should be helping spread an invasive species, because in this case it doesn't seem to have a big downside. The only downside is that they sort of help diseases spread that infect captive horses because there's more horses around. So there's like, okay, maybe it's bad because captive horses are getting more sick, but it's filling a niche that's really important, and so people are supporting an invasive species. It's probably the only one, yeah.
Where are they originally from?
Je ne sais. Je ne sais pas.
In Europe and like Africa?
Yeah, the whole thing in French where you say, I don't know not.
Oh, yeah,
it's just
exactly.
too weird. Because I'm a Spanish speaker, we say, je no sé. But we don't say, je no sé, no.
Show,
Okay.
you pronounce it yo, show?
Yeah, I'm Argentinian, so I say show.
Yeah.
And pocho and chuvia. Okay.
Chuvia for rain? That's weird. Yeah, that's cool. Chuvia.
Horses came from China. Everything bad comes from China, huh? Racist. Okay. Okay.
Wow, that was a little bit
I've got some interesting facts for you. Does anybody know the #1 most expensive invasive species? You'll probably be very surprised by this.
like people want to buy it.
The zebra mussel.
What?
Because they mess up plumbing. Like plumbing in dams and plumbing in ships. Zebra mussels grow inside of pipes and stuff. So like huge international tankers, the plumbing will get all clogged with zebra mussels because they like fast-moving water. So zebra mussels are probably the most expensive invasive species. Anybody know the species that has caused the most extinctions? It's probably the brown-eyed tree snake. Because they've caused bird extinctions all over the South Pacific. They're all over Hawaii. They were
Wait, I thought there's no snakes in Hawaii.
no native snakes. That's why this one has done so much harm. Because as an invasive, nobody there is used to it. There's all these nesting birds that nest on the ground because they're like, whatever, it's safe here.
Who brought a snake? Whose good idea?
It was an accident. They traveled in potted plants.
There's no snakes in Ireland.
So here's a good one. Anybody know the most invasive biological control? The mongoose. A mongoose is like a giant ferret. They were.
Tiki Tavi. That's a mongoose.
I don't know what that's.
Oh, that's sort of it.
Oh.
I forgot that.
They're so
No, that's what
You
they're
look just like that.
not cute.
I've got a good one for you. Anybody know the most globally distributed invasive?
Trout.
The domestic house cat.
No way.
Basically, every environment you have humans, you have cats.
I hate cats.
Uh,
I like dogs, but I hate
po-
cats.
possibly, shut up. Possibly even more than rats. Because cats seem to tolerate a wider range of temperatures. Like in the snow, rats don't do so well, but cats can kind of hang. And so cats seem to have followed humanity all over the planet, and everywhere humans are, some cat got away. And they're extremely destructive invasives. As soon as we moved our cats out of the property on the mountains, within a couple of weeks, we started, like, it feels like spring, but it's fall, because all the birds started to show up again. Anytime that a bird showed up on my property, the cats would climb a tree and airball them and eat them. Cats are really aggressive invasives. They're really predatory. They're predators for fun. There aren't a lot of species that kill stuff just for sport.
We do.
We do and cats do. That's about it.
Wait, where
Chimpanzees
did
maybe.
cats start out?
I don't
They weren't that
know. I
big,
mean, they're
right?
old.
Egypt.
Yeah.
Egypt for sure.
When I was in Egypt, we I was there for like 3 weeks, and I saw one dog the entire time that was dead on the side of the road, and I saw thousands and thousands and thousands of cats everywhere. And then they have different shapes of their face, and
Yeah,
their body shape is different.
Leaner and longer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Egypt is probably the place where the domestic cat was born.
But they have a cat body, right?
Right. Yeah, and the Egyptian pharaohs were buried with their mummified cats and stuff. Yeah. All right, children. We've reached the end of the road. I can talk about myself if you would like to. It's my favorite topic.
It's like on the wanted poster, like the criteria.
What?
The criteria. My invasive species was spread by logging, like by destruction of its habitat.
I thought you were trying to get a piece out of match.
So it moved into
The
cleared out
the
missions.
skunks that are from like the forest, one thing,
Striped skunk?
and I guess logging destroyed its habitat, and also human settlement. They just like migrated
I
over
love
there.
that. Yeah. So apparently, skunks, a square acre of city can support about 10 times as many skunks as a square acre of forest.
Really?
So whenever you have a city, skunk populations explode.
Yeah. Okay.
Because humans have so much leftover stuff on the ground, and the rats take over, and the rats feed the skunks, and so the skunks are partying in cities. Hey Jack, did you terminate the video?
I started flossing for like the first time in a long time. Feels so good. Like gums are like, oh.
Just press the red button.